And we are live. I am your friendly neighborhood Xevious, otherwise known as X. I've got a fantastic panel. We're going to talk about a few things, but I want to talk about this this tweet I made about 15 hours ago. And as a 501st Legion member, as a guy who likes to dress up as a stormtrooper, this really burns my ass. It scares me. It's making me think I probably have to leave the hobby. So let's start with AFK Baird with your dog. How are you doing?
Good. I'm still kind of muting his right to speech whenever he tries to say anything. But other than that, we're good over here.
Okay, cool. Moving on, we've got Culture Casino, our
hello
resident adjacent epidemiologist.
Well, yeah, you could say it that way. More like I just relay information from my brother, and there's a lot of fun that has come out that isn't so fun for the people that are going to be experiencing that. But that's not why we're here today, and I'm glad to be here to talk about this because I take this kind of overreach very seriously.
Okay, cool. We have the Mega Geek, otherwise known as Ian from. Sorry, dude. Is
the
it
UK?
Liverpool
The
or
UK.
Manchester?
London.
Oh, okay,
London.
see, I'm way off base. Good to have you, man.
Yeah, good to be.
And last but far from the least, my partner in crime, my boss practically on the comic book stuff. We have Buddy Lord. How you doing, man?
It makes it sound like I'm your wife when you say it like that. We got to come up with a better intro.
Oh, dude,
Good to meet you, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so how are we doing? I'm in a tizzy. This whole thing, it's blown up like mad. I have I put out some questions to local police. I put out questions to. I'm in a couple private groups with the 501st Stormtrooper stuff. They're squishing this on Facebook. It's weird, and media, which I think even my American friends are familiar with at least.
Oh yeah,
and this thing's going to blow up like tonight. So it'd be fun to be the first people to talk about it. So, what do you guys think about this business? What happened?
Well, it sucks that it happened. I don't want to sound jaded in saying that I'm not surprised, but I mean, in general, I've seen a lot of weird people. Weird masks and things that people are wearing in general. So I don't think that you can hold it to the trooper gear itself, because I've seen people walking around with Darth Vader helmets and stuff. So
yeah, but she was holding a blaster.
Well, right, but there's a thing of the toss it to the side, and then there's the I want to tackle you to the ground and shove your face in the ground. And,
I have lots of questions. I have lots of what the hell. I've talked about it before. Like my dad was he was in the Marine Corps for a while. He was actually Special Forces and Force Recon. I've had CQC training. I go to the field range a lot. We do a lot of those kind of things where my brother-in-law was SWAT team, and he used to do the competition where you literally go through these buildings and you disarm and disable people, and you do it quickly and these kind of things. You know what I mean? So I've seen these kind of practices and procedures. And there was a guy like Captain Rex or something sort of arguing with me, and I'm like, look, I get that they had to disable, that they had to make sure the weapon was down, or that whatever it was, was taken care of. But she immediately threw it down. Not only that, an actual weapon, no 5 pound, 100-nothing-pound girl is going to be swinging it like she was almost swinging it over her head, that nobody's going to be swinging an actual weapon like that. But okay, so maybe, they're like, oh, we're going to take all the, okay, that's cool. What it struck me as, honestly, is a show of force. It's just too convenient for me to say you just had this shit show of a meeting, of a whole deal by Trudeau, and a lot of people spoke out against him, and they spoke out against the police and everything else because they were going into people's houses and taking guns, or that's what they wanted to do. Okay, so now what do? You make a show of the most defenseless, I'm not gonna say most defenseless, but it just, come on, she's not like a 220-pound guy, you know?
Mhm.
And this is like a 5'0" 100-pound girl in, like she looked like she was having fun up until, 3 cops cornered her and told her to bend in armor that doesn't bend and made her bleed and cry on the street in front of everybody. That just seems to me as more of, look, this is what we're going to do. This is what what's going to happen to you if you don't do what we say. That's what it seemed like to me.
I think they went over the top. Obviously went over the top. It was stupid. What, none of them seen a Star Wars movie? Didn't know what she was wearing. It's ridiculous. And once she took her, the helmet off, they could see that she was crying. Why did they insist on pushing her down on the ground? Just it doesn't make any
Because it's part
sense
of
to
the
me.
job.
But that's the thing, you see.
It sounds really insensitive, but I mean, did you hear about that story about a cop who got in trouble for arresting, I think it was a 6-year-old girl at her elementary school in handcuffs, and he drove her to the precinct and insisted on having her picture taken and everything?
Yep.
He was in the legal right to do it, but he was an a-hole.
Yeah, but the thing is that's common sense, isn't it? That the girl, no threat. She meant no threat. It's even when they were walking up to her, she made no threat. And they must have hearts of stone if they couldn't see she was crying and she was distressed. Yet they still, pushed her on the floor. And it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just over the top. For what?
Well, I mean,
That's the question. For what?
It comes from the training, because you're always taught to defend yourself first. Like that's per the course of being a cop. You got to make sure your safety is number one. And so, like, all of the training stuff that they get is like over the top. Like, if you've watched the Red Letter Media, they found the safety with edged weapons VHS tape that had been circulating through cops in the 90s. It was so over the top, teaching you to fear like every single, like, this could be a weapon, this could be a weapon when you interact with people. And that was just then. I mean, I can't imagine that. I'm sure that obviously the style has changed, but the message is not. You go out there, you're putting yourself on the line, and it's understandable you want to be protective, but there's being protective, and then there's being over the top ridiculous, seeing like a little 2-year-old and thinking that they have a weapon or something. You know what I mean?
But even this was ridiculous. Let's face it. I mean, it was obvious the girl didn't have any weapon at all when she threw
They
away her
didn't know,
blaster.
though.
Well, how
That's
could they
always-
not know? They could see her.
Well, see, that's the thing. It's like there's always, I would say, you can always use the defense that you can't tell, because sure, at a distance it doesn't look like she has something, but what if they got close and she
They
somehow
were close.
pulled
They were
something
like
out of somewhere?
They're about what, maybe 7 feet away from her. Her hands were by her side. They told her to go on her knees.
Yep.
It didn't look like she had anything. I mean, if you know a stormtrooper's costume, they ain't got any pockets, that's for sure. So
I mean,
it was
I've
ridiculous.
I've seen like in CQC, like in the SWAT team, they'll drop somebody like that, that they don't consider like that really is that defensible, that this person doesn't really represent that much ability to harm them. They're going to have like zip straps, and they're going to point their gun and say, hey, put your hands behind your back and don't move. She puts her hands behind her back, they zip tie her. Done.
Well, they
Turn around, talk to me.
they actually engaged her too close if they were suspecting another weapon on her person, because before she was actually face down. I mean, there were so many things that they did wrong for a normal response, at least here in the States. Because inside of if your weapon's not drawn, first of all, inside of 20 feet, anybody with a knife is more of a threat than somebody trying to pull their gun from their holster and level it to fire it. Okay,
Sure.
That's first. Second, when they went to engage her, there should have been multiple teams. If they were worried about this threat, they should have had multiple officers responding from different positions. So you always want to observe a situation and react accordingly. And again, this video shows somebody who's happily going along their business and being confronted in a very uncomfortable and I'm sorry, this was overzealous. It was too big a reaction for the circumstance.
I mean, I want to throw in there that I've been building Stormtrooper costumes for I'm old, almost 20 years. I think I've built 5, but I can tell you because of the way the breastplate and then the ab, it's called the ab plate. You can't bend forward, so you can't lay down. And looking at the video, I'm not even sure how she got on her knees because you can't even sit in a chair. Just the way
you have.
It's built.
She would have had to drop to the knees because from every time I've seen one of those costumes built, you're plating on both the front and back of your calf, your shin and your calf. You're not bending those properly. That's not happening. So that had to have been a drop to get to that point.
Yeah. And then what really pissed me off about the video is that when the truck comes through, that's the point where she went from sort of standing there with her hands up to suddenly on her front. So I think the three of them, at some point she got tackled, and she clearly, when you're wearing like a white shiny thing with no pockets, no jacket, no jeans, she doesn't have needles, just no, there's nothing concealed. But they put her on her face, and I saw photos from the guy, who ran the restaurant she worked for, of blood from her face.
Yeah.
And it was brutal. And she was like a tiny little blonde, like, I don't know, in her 20s, 30s, it doesn't matter, but a petite girl. And you can tell from the way the armor is trimmed, she's like maybe 100 pounds, maybe 5'3".
That's what I'm saying. She's 5 foot nothing, 100 nothing. They forced her to her knees. I mean, I'm watching the video right now. They didn't like tackle her, but they did force her to her knees. And then you can see her. She's confused. The guy's telling her to lay down. She's like, how?
Yep.
That's what she's doing. She's like, how?
In England, you can't walk around with a fake gun, a black fake gun. They don't sell weapons, even fake guns. They have to have the little color at the top of the gun. So if that happened, if that happened in England, they probably would have shot that person first.
Well, technically, you can get in trouble for that here too if you have a kid with a fake gun that looks too real. That's why all the toy guns are like bright orange and yellow and green. If you had a fake handgun walking down the street, you would get in trouble.
but you guys are allowed to buy BB guns and
they're still not allowed in like public places.
In the UK, you're not allowed to buy them. You've got to have a license, like if you're a film props person or a production. That's the only time they're going to sell you those guns.
We're really going to go there because that hasn't helped anything. They have the highest knife murders in the nation in the world now.
That's true. That is true. That is true. That's because the only reason why we do is because we're not allowed guns. So
exactly.
That's why we have.
Frankly, I'd rather get shot.
But yeah, so, I mean, but the thing is, though, I agree with everybody. It was too rough. I mean, common sense tells you that girl didn't mean any harm, but yet they as Finn says, they followed procedure, which I mean, compassion. There's got to be compassion in life, right?
I mean, that's the problem if you think about it. It's like procedure exists and it's there for a reason and it's good, but there's ways of wielding it. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to smack a fly with a mallet, or if you did, that's overkill.
Like procedures there to protect everybody, right? But what's the overall duty and obligation of the police? To protect people, right?
Yeah.
So let's have some empathy. Let's, like I said, just go up there with go up there with a couple zip ties. They got them. Just say, hey, turn around. I'm sorry. This may be embarrassing, but we got to check it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was Culture Casino just before we went live, like a minute before, said situational awareness is what it is, and I think that
yes.
I mean, I've looked at I've got over 300,000+ engagements on the tweet and thousands of retweets, which is interesting to say the least. And when I see people say like fuck the police, that kind of thing, I don't like that at all. I'm 100% pro police.
Yeah.
But you've got to be a smart cop to have the job, or even you don't have to be that smart, but you got to be empathy and some kindness, some understanding of the situation that you're in.
Yeah. Right. Again, I mean, it was if here in the States that would have been bad the way they handled it. Most police departments wouldn't have handled it exactly the way it went down up there. And you're 100% right. When I was talking, situational awareness is key. But your first duty is as a police officer, as a civil servant, is to be a representative of the community and to establish a relationship with the community. This is not a good way to establish a relationship with your community. Your obligation is to the citizenry, whether it's to be there for health and safety or to prevent acts. In this particular circumstance, again, I don't know what the engagement rules are in Canada. I don't know what the basics are up there, but this was not done in a safe way for if they were really concerned about their safety or safety of others around them. This wasn't handled properly at all. I mean, all the way around. So anyway,
do you guys want to? So I've tweeted this. You guys want to sort of retweet to whoever you think would be interesting? It'd be fun to get the chat. It'd be fun to get the chat lit up here.
I've done that already.
Get some international takes on this. What do we got here? We got a few Americans, a Canadian, and a Brit. I don't know how it's different legally from really any place. I just, if you don't know what a stormtrooper is on May the 4th, I guess not everybody wakes up thinking, hey, May the 4th be with you. But one of these cops should have been amused even, if nothing else.
Is it got something to do with, because that's Canada, right? That
Yes.
Right. So has it got something to do with they enforce some law or something happened where the police have to show,
That's what I'm saying is that, like, I think it was just like the way they did it, like obviously talking to people, saying back off, dude, like all these other kind of things. It wasn't quick. They didn't just like usher her into the car and get her off the road. They sat there really slowly, had 3 people, put her on the ground, like sitting on top of her, and for no reason. Right after the whole shit show of Trudeau and him coming out, blubbering like a baby and saying, I'm going to take all your guns because I don't know what else to do with, was Alberta?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if you guys are aware on just on Friday, so what, 3-4 days ago, the Trudeau government, they banned unilaterally 1,500 makes of rifles they consider to be assault weapons. So not sporting and not, I guess what, not sport, not hunting. Like, boom. So it's a
and then this happens. And it just seems like to me this is like putting somebody in a pillow and throwing tomatoes at them all day long.
Yeah, it's 3 days later. It seems to me like a political push.
Yeah, that's what I was asking whether it was. So it does seem that way because it's too aggressive to do that to somebody, especially if somebody you can see even before they walked up to her, they can see she was no threat. So,
yeah, I mean, and some objectivity around the group here is good, but I can tell you that I collect. Okay, I mean, I'm a big nerd. I'm not the mega geek, but I'm close. And when you have a Stormtrooper helmet on your head, you can't really see and you can't hear. Like you're in a fog. So this person, you can't move quickly, you can't move properly, you can't see, you can't hear. So for this girl suddenly to just be like, boom, face in the, I mean, I'm sure the amount of blood I saw, broken nose, broken tooth, I'll bet it'll all come out today now.
I'm sure that the cops will make up for it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they'll pay for it. They'll make sure that, she doesn't have any horrible medical bills. She won't accidentally get any scars, perhaps, out of their stupidity.
Dude, this is Canada. We don't have medical bills. Wink.
Oh, there you go.
You don't have medical bills?
This is out of character for Canada, though, isn't it? Let's face it.
I expected better from Canada, honestly.
Yeah, so did I.
Yeah, and I want you guys to know, people, my friends here, people listening. So I grew up about maybe 30 minutes from the town where this happened. I don't live there now, but this is my people, the accent, and everybody talks like they're in Fargo. If you watch the video,
awesome.
Yeah, so, okay, that's cool. I don't anymore, as far as I know.
But do you still say a boot, though?
I know I do. I do say
you do?
yeah, well, You know, what are you going to do?
Yeah. It's really unnerving when Finn gets up and walks around. I don't know what she's looking at. I don't know. I really don't know what she's doing.
I'm always spying on the neighbors.
Okay. Just in case you see some police come round your place, make sure
My
you wear your
dog is
stormtrooper
my
costume.
my
All
dog
right.
scouts. He'll bite. He barks, and then I know.
I think it's fun.
Do you know what? Maybe you shouldn't dress your cat in the Darth Vader costume. Make sure he doesn't have a lightsaber, otherwise the police might.
No, dude.
Oh, that's right. You don't want your cat to get tackled.
Yeah, that's right. I did that a few days ago. But okay, back to, here's a serious point. So the first time I dressed as a stormtrooper was 9 years ago, 10 years ago. And it took me like 6 months, $5,000 or more. I had the gun, the holster, everything down to the detail, the boots, the right, everything. And I left my apartment by myself, walked down the street, and horns honked. I saw lots of cops, high fives. I mean, like hundreds and hundreds of people. I got mobbed. I went to a few bars. I got all free drinks. It was an absolute blast to do that. And now, because of the state of Star Wars, for one thing, and the state of the 501st Legion politically, and then finally this is sort of like, this is why I want to talk about it, sort of the nail in the coffin as well. Like, am I going to do this again? I doubt it.
Yeah.
I really hope
Cinder
that's not
Shadow
it.
says that
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying that Cinder Shadow is pointing out that there's an investigation now about the arrest.
There should be.
So, Canada's all like liberal and leftist and all that good stuff. I mean, they completely defended, I can't remember her name, but, you know, the trans woman who wanted her testicles massaged, you know, and all that. They completely defended her several times when she was extremely violent and went after people. What happened to believe women?
Yep.
Well, you only believe them when they're saying the right stuff. Otherwise, you can't believe them.
So if she'd have had like a, you know, instead of a stormtrooper, she had like a rainbow colored stormtrooper, she'd have been all right.
If she would, yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends.
I mean-
on who you want to go for the story.
Was
Well,
she
no, I
wearing
mean,
the
'cause
new
X-
stormtrooper costume or the old?
Ah,
stormtrooper
right.
costume?
Right. Like
Oh,
X.
where's the meme? We're gonna animate this, right? We're
Wow.
gonna put like a Disney Star Wars over the faces of the cops, and then the old Star Wars label over the stormtrooper's
Right.
head.
Well, it's like I know X and I have had shows before about where these people have walked around with their little blasters and everything, you know, but they didn't look like the authentic kind anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was on a tube with Darth Vader, a couple of stormtroopers, and Luke Skywalker when we had Comic-Con in London. You know, everybody was trying to get their autographs and trying to take selfies with them and stuff. So yeah,
I think the aliens are trying to interrupt you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry, that stupid mic again. Sorry.
I'm gonna buy Ian a new mic.
You should, man. Buy Ian a mic, send it to him post haste. So,
Okay.
I
Am
could
I
drop it
right
off
now?
while I swing by on my helicopter.
drop
Am I
it off.
okay now?
Oh yeah, you're good, man. It
Is
doesn't
that a no par or a tail rotor?
So hey, I just got a all right, this is just in from my private 501st Legion group on Facebook. This is the garrison response to the Lethbridge incident. As posted yesterday, many of you have seen the unfortunate incident in Lethbridge involving police interaction with a costumed trooper carrying a prop weapon. This appeared on social media yesterday and has appeared in the national press today.
Internationally.
While this did not involve a member officially of our Legion, we thought it would be a good opportunity to share tips on staying safe in costume, particularly as many of us are doing informal solo troops in this time of distancing. We also have recommendations on what to do or not to do on social media. So this is a response to me, basically. I'm still part of the private group on Facebook with the 501st based out of Utah, but I'm in shit because I wouldn't wear red high heels to support women last spring, which is a whole other story.
I wouldn't wear red high heels to support women, so
Nor would
I
I.
don't blame you. That shit's bad for your ankles.
Nor would I.
And honestly, if they wanted to be all woman powered, they wouldn't wear heels because heels were invented by men.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
They're
Prince
there to
wore
make
them,
your
so,
butt look better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they don't make my butt look better, man.
Mine either.
No, they
We're
don't
not
help.
going into that. Never mind.
Off topic. Sorry.
No, I mean I like red high heels, just not on
Non-men.
not on men. Well, no, if, whatever floats your boat, dude. But it's not part of Star Wars. That's not. It's not canon. It's not
Yeah, but
politics.
nobody cares about canon anymore, as you can tell. Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who. They're all done, mate.
I
Mhm.
don't
Well
understand what their objective is with all of this. It's like,
They want to change
There's-
minds. They want to change your way of thinking. That's
well,
what
no,
they
I
wanna
get
do.
that. I get
If
that.
they
But
can't.
you're advertising to about 7% of the world.
Yes. That's the exact right number. 7% of the free world, because in other countries, you can't express certain parts of your personality or
Yep.
your identity.
Right?
Mm.
I always find it funny when people say things like, there's no diversity in the world, and then they go into the whole no diverse, there's not enough black movies or this movies or that movies, and then they say Asian, and I look at them really dumb.
Look,
And I go,
Asian over here.
do you realize that the world is comprised of 60% Asians, and there are other countries that make their own stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so
it's a horrible subject, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Mate. Go ahead, mate.
I'm just watching the Facebook, the 501st private group trickling in here, and it is so politically correct. It's infuriating. I'm not going to dox anybody on this. There's no public replies to my post, a couple of private ones, and this was just put out minutes ago. If you are contacted by anyone looking for Legion comment, please do not respond. Refer them to blank, our garrison commander. He will take the lead on any comments. The Legion public resources have been in touch with him for assistance. Secondly, do not make any comments on your own or any social media to anyone or any member of the press as a representative.
So they're trying to
What?
squash it?
Well,
Yes.
I don't. Wow. That's
Yeah.
so.
Well, are
Isn't
you
that a-
surprised? Are you surprised? Come on.
Isn't this a charity movement?
Well, it was, man. Like again, 10 years ago, it was a bunch of guys dressed as stormtroopers. We would have barbecues, we would have tailgate parties, we would get together, and to be a stormtrooper, you have to be accurate looking. So it's roughly guys who are between 5'9" to 6'2", some semi-fit. That doesn't matter. Nobody cares. But when it got to where we had a bunch of again, it's the dumbest term. We need to build a new lexicon for YouTubing. When I say cat lady, that describes half of my best friends, and everybody knows I'm a cat guy.
I was gonna say you're a cat dude. You know more about cats than anybody I know.
But there's a certain kind of cat lady you're talking about.
Exactly. When you
We
say
all know that one.
yeah, when you say blue-haired middle-aged women, again, most of
Well,
those.
we just call them Karens, dude. That's the new lexical reference.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Ah.
I like that.
I think that's what Gary's calling it, really.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Karen is good, actually. So basically, Karens took over my Legion about 4 or 5 years ago, and they bitch at me for posting things in the group that are politically incorrect or perhaps copyright infringing. And frankly, that's why I moved to the Phantom Menace and Twitter less than a year ago, because
Wow.
I don't get policed on Twitter. Twitter is still pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
Twitter
I
polices
wish.
everybody.
Well, I bet as far as people probably though, because I hid in Twitter because I was on here for the longest time with like people that I know from like family and stuff. But I made one too many comments apparently, and one time I had a best friend who was like, I can't believe you feel this way. You're such a different person than you used to be. And I was like, I've always been exactly this way. I didn't suddenly like flick a switch. So I decided to like just make myself my own Twitter universe away from that kind of judgment, because it's so infuriating when you're not quote unquote politically correct. And by quote unquote politically correct nowadays, that just means you have to agree with the status quo of sheep.
Yep.
I think it's all down to knowledge at the end of the day, because my brother he's a normie, and when we talk about this stuff, he kind of doesn't understand. He can't see what I'm saying at all. It's only because he doesn't have the knowledge of what's really going on, because to him everything's fine. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, I think that's what it is. People don't have the knowledge.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because unless you're engaged in the pop culture war or the culture war in some form or fashion, I don't know that you keep track of this stuff on a daily basis. I mean, there are a lot of people who thought that, you know, the last two Star Wars movies were okay. And then there are people that, you know, that joined the fandom menace, you know, right after The Force Awakens. So, you know, and there could be more people out there that are like myself who, you know, we only started to get invested in this after we found out there were people that thought the same way that we do, and that those people seem to be a growing majority now. So,
you know, I was on a live podcast with Bostrek, and we were talking to these people who supported Picard, and I was saying to one of the guys that supported we weren't arguing. It was a really great discussion. It's really good how you can have discussion with people who respect your views. So I said to the guy, look, just point out one moment when Picard actually told somebody what to do or told somebody off in the whole of that series. And he said, yes, there is. There's the bit where he told Raffi to find out the blah blah blah, and she did, right? And I didn't say anything, right, because he doesn't understand what a Mary Sue is, or doesn't understand the structure of feminine agenda. So it was pointless me going on. So I just let him have that one. But the truth is, Picard never told her to do anything. She did it on her own accord, because the structure is a man cannot tell a woman what to do in any show now. So, you know what I mean? I was never going to say that. So sometimes it's not even worth opening your mouth when you're talking to people that just can't be convinced of what's going on, if you know what I mean.
Nope. Yeah. Dude, that is true. You know, I just, a good friend of this community, I won't mention names, set me up with a refreshed version of Disney Plus. And I watched Rise of Skywalker last night once again after a few months.
I feel sorry for you.
I know. But you know what? What happened though afterwards is I'm more about, after I watch a movie, I always watch the extras. And I caught the Rise of Skywalker, 2-hour documentary of how it was made. And it was only women talking about women and minority women. And I'm all for women and minority women. I'm thinking there's a good chunk of this panel that's not even Caucasian, whatever. It doesn't matter. But the thrust of this bloody behind the scenes thing, all of this really manipulative, really swelling music was just, they go to the Mexican lady, they go to the lesbian woman who's in the props department, they go to whatever, and it's 2 hours of I don't know, is indoctrination the right word? I mean, I want to be open-minded about it, but it's just,
it's not. They know what they're doing, mate. They know what they're doing, and they do it. They try to do it subtly, but they do it as subtly as a hammer slamming in your head. Yep. If you can see it, you can see the hammer. That is. So it's. Go on. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no. You keep going. Finish it.
I'm just saying that it's gonna get worse. The whole thing is gonna get worse. I hear they're gonna remake Battlestar Galactica, and that's gonna go woke. You know it. So you just brace yourself. That's all I can say. The only thing that hasn't gone woke so far is Red Dwarf. That's the only thing that hasn't gone woke. Which, thank the Lord. That's all I can say.
How did they avoid? Yeah, how did they avoid that, Ian? I mean, that's still a BBC product, right?
No, it's not. It's not. The rights belong to the creators, and now they're on channel called Dave. And
really?
The main cast is 4 men. That's it.
Wow.
There's women come in from time to time, but the main cast is 2 black guys and 2 white guys. One of them's a robot, so mechanoid. So there you go, with makeup. So it's diverse. The show's diverse. It was diverse in the 80s when it was first made. It started off diverse.
Diversity didn't exist back then.
Exactly.
So narrative.
But normies don't know that. They just take what's at face value and they just go with it. But our eyes are open. It's hard for us not to see it. Do you know what I mean?
So getting back to our subject, Xevious, because this is a legion that you're a part of, this particular legion, what are you going to do with that message?
I don't know. In fact, I hadn't even thought of it that way, at least not provincially. 501st Legion is us internationally as Stormtrooper costume enthusiasts.
Yeah.
Western Canada is called the Badlands Garrison.
Right.
And, I'm getting notes here coming in on it's just a closed Facebook group to not talk to media. And I don't know what the reason is behind that. I'll just be very blunt here. It went very woke about 5 years ago. I've been on streams with Buddy. I've been on streams with Buddy as well as Teresa, and they kicked out a lot of the your basic normie, like big dudes, cops, firemen, got booted out. A gay gentleman, nice guy, and his husband are now the commanders of the Western Canadian branch, and it's so PC that I think that. Sorry, your question was specific. I'm not sure how to answer what I do going forward.
Yeah, I mean, because it's difficult when you're part of groups, especially social groups like that, to feel comfortable, because when you are enforcing a particular mindset that isn't the originating mindset of the group, like something political comes in and takes over. You're alienating people and you're limiting the diversity of your group. I don't know why these movements don't see stuff like that. So I was just curious, are you going to look for a different garrison?
I've been asked that a bunch of times, and it's regional, so there is no other garrison. So I have no options. The only thing I can do is to troop by myself. I've actually had some fun. Quarter Black Garrett, our friend from Crowder, we've joked about it, starting up something independent and non-regional. But
can't you call yourself the Reformed 501 Legion? I mean, that's what churches do.
Yeah, you should. You should come out of it.
Nice.
I could, but it would be just me. Who wants to join? That's
well, I would, but I'm not the actual size of a stormtrooper, and I want it to be authentic. So.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just think that if you really want to stand for what you believe, that you have to do something like that.
Yeah.
Let's face it, right? It took one brown man to kick the British army out of his own country. It just took one man. Do you know what I mean? So, maybe you should try it. You never know where it will lead you.
Well, I can't do it without, well, you know what? We've got YouTube, we've got Instagram, we've got Twitter.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, to get together in groups, okay, as of yesterday, I'm afraid I might get shot. But yeah, whoever's in, send me a DM. Let's do it. We're all going to meet in Vegas after things go back to normal. Is definitely the party line right now.
See, here's the problem. I only have an assortment of Mandalorian costumes, so I'm not going to fit in well with the Stormtroopers. So.
Actually, the mandate, there are dozens and dozens of costumes to be 501st. The Mandos, otherwise known as the Mercs, MERCS.
Yeah,
that's a legit costume.
Oh, okay, well then good, because I've got plenty of those. I'm working on another one right now based on the show The Mandalorian. I almost have the helmet finished already. So
do you know what though? when stuff like this happens, right, it's best just to step away from it, because I understand, right, these people more than you think. I know I've got a lot of contacts at the BBC, and I know what the BBC is doing. Even though I try to convince other people, they won't listen. But let me tell you, this is the truth. What's happening at the BBC? The people that are running the BBC at the top are either gay or bi or SJW, whatever, like, pick a letter, right? And they are running the BBC at the moment. One guy isn't any of that, but he's overseeing stuff. But the majority of people in production and in post production, none of them are straight, right? None of them, and they want to reform thinking. That's their religion. They literally believe that what they're putting out is how everybody should think. Make no mistake, that's how they're thinking.
That's the problem, Ian, is that we're no longer teaching kids to use critical thought or to think freely, which is why I think we suffer when it comes to creativity, because kids aren't brought up to do things creatively any longer. They are indoctrinated, which is the word Xevious used a couple of minutes ago, from a very young age. And, you learn by rote a bunch of alternate history now, not actual history. And you don't even understand the varying forms of government in this country. You're not presented with, what it took to become a country in this country, or in the case, Canada and their struggles with the crown and everything else. But it's a problem that it's like the longest war ever. I mean, China has been in a 5,000-year war with the rest of the world, because forever they've wanted to rule the rest of the world. Well, in this particular circumstance, you have a group of ideologies that we thought we had cleared out, around, the time that Ronald Reagan was governor, and we were wrong, and it's built up in the university system. And because of that, it trickled down through all the other educational branches, because when you get, a degree in art history, you either are going to work in a museum or you're going to go teach. Yep. So, and I hate to say it that way. I know Xevious knows what I'm talking about. It's hard to, unless you're entrepreneurial, you're going to be a teacher. If you, it's just one of those things. And I can pontificate all day long because I'm so frustrated with the circumstances we have to deal with in the world. But the only thing we can deal with it, Ian, is to confront it and try to push it down at this point, or at least make everyone aware.
I do believe in confronting it, yes, but I don't believe in fighting or fighting someone on Twitter, or having the last word. I don't believe in any of that stuff. What I believe in is, if people want to put their point forward, I will say, well, thank you very much, God bless you, and then I move on. But I think, right, the things that we love now doesn't belong to us anymore. Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, whatever you want to put into that category. And I think now it's time to make new stuff, and it's time for us to stand up for what we believe, of course, but also to create new stuff that doesn't involve crap like that. That's what I think.
There are some creators that would argue that if they remain in control of their intellectual property, it's preserved. I mean, the example being Zemeckis, who I believe is in charge of Back to the Future.
That's right.
And those properties are safe from being perverted in some way. So Wes is right. He makes his own stuff. If we make our own stuff, which Xevious is doing, who I can't wait to see that comic book, by the way.
No,
I don't. Sorry,
go ahead.
To interrupt. I just because you guys don't all know each other. The book I'm working on, that's actually with Buddy. You see right here, the B Lord, otherwise known as
B Lord,
the Boob Lord, the Butt Lord. That's but Buddy is the writer on Sins of the Fae. So
you see, I have to take my hat off to you guys, seriously, because I just love the way you draw women in your comics, because you don't see that today anymore. And no disrespect to any women out there. I just like my women to look like women. I'm sorry, but this is just me,
We
I did.
like it too.
Oh, I know you do. I know. AFK Bard is a huge, supporter of the both male and female form, I believe. Oh yeah,
That's right.
yeah. So Ian, I just want to say this because I didn't get a chance to get to you. You're a filmmaker in your own right. You created something that was brilliant. That's available for everybody to see on YouTube. Rebecca Gold that's fun, man. That is, if more people were in a position to make more of that content, I think we'd have and there are. I mean, we're building up a more of an independent conversation. I mean, YouTube was originally going to be that and go that way, but they've sold out now to the corporate interests, of the regular.
Yeah, I did get attacked once by someone. Someone sent me a private DM on Twitter, and they asked a question: was Katie gay? And I said no, she wasn't. She's not gay. First of all, she said she loved the Rebecca Goldberg plays Katie gay, and I said no, she wasn't gay. And then she sent back another message saying, "How dare you cast a straight person as a gay person? You're setting us back." Blah blah blah. I'm like, what is this girl on? What is this girl on? So
well, you know what? I gotta say, if my book ever makes it to animation or movie, it's gonna be really hard to peg my characters because like a half fae, half witch lord, shape changer. I don't know if I can find one of those, just anywhere.
I want to know: do these people they understand the definition of acting?
No, I don't think they do. I
So
don't know.
weird, right? I mean, I guess it's really hard to contemplate the real meaning behind the form of acting. Because everybody I watched, I just assumed there was really this crazy lady who lived out in outer space who shot up some aliens and shit. And now that I know it wasn't actually a person from outer space and it was actually a human being, I'm feeling cheated.
Do they? And I always challenge that idea. I'm like, I don't care if a gay person plays a straight person. In fact, I don't think that way. I don't even think that never would occur to a normal person. Unless you're trying to
play the straight person, right? A lot of gay people's played a straight person. I don't see what the difference is.
It's
just stupid.
I gotta wonder if these are the kind of people that are.
Straight guy.
I gotta wonder if these are the kind of people that have certain questions. Like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she said her roommate just all of a sudden blurted out a question to her. They're in COVID, they're watching stupid shows, doing whatever, they're all captive, and he turns over to her and he says, "Do you think all the brothers and sisters on Pornhub are real family?"
Well,
so I just brought this up. So I've been working my ass off with Buddy for about probably 6 months now on the book we're doing. On screen right now, this is concept art I did a few days ago. It's brand new. We've got Joe, who's Mexican.
he looks like a brother.
No, that's our artist. Joe's going to do another version. I'm gonna render this once I get it back from him. That should happen inside the week. This is this guy is named CJ. He's black. He's a vampire. He is a World War II vet who became a vampire at around the age of course I defer to Buddy. This is Buddy's creation, not mine. I just draw it.
He's Pacific Theater vet, not a World War II vet. He went to the Pacific Theater.
Okay.
And when as a medic came back, and he found out, in the midst of that, he joined as a medic and found out he's really good at killing people when he didn't want to be. Came back and, was like boozing, carousing, sleeping with everybody, really trying to kill himself because he just couldn't deal with what he had seen and what he was. He thought he looked at himself as a monster. Met a woman that said, "I can take your pain away." So, he took the pill, took the blue pill or whichever one.
Okay.
Right. And became a vampire.
My
She
point
took away the
though,
wrong pain.
is that in all the time we've been discussing this, I actually don't know if this guy is gay or straight. It's never occurred to me to ask because I don't give a fuck. Like I don't know.
That's the thing. The real good characters and stories and crap, they don't need to present that at the beginning. Like, I swear to God, if every book started out with half a paragraph of bullet points of what the character was before it actually tried to sell itself as a story, I would give up.
Can you imagine if people talked like these people want you to be? I didn't say, hey, you want to drink sometime. I didn't meet you at a bar and offer you a drink or send one your way and then come over and talk. No, I said, hi, my name's Buddy. I'm a he, him. I'm most of the time straight. How are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exhausting. And I want to say further to that, like, I was talking, like, in designing the character, I wanted to figure out how he would dress. I wanted to figure out, and I came to the conclusion that he should be really, really good looking and really well dressed. And he's
well, good looking's always good.
yeah.
So,
In comic books, even better, yeah.
yeah.
But
It's odd he doesn't look like me, Xevious.
well, next time, man. Yeah, we'll talk. Send me photos. But it was, and Buddy said, by the way, he's black. I'm like, okay, cool. That was a point of just okay. There was not even a question for a second of why is he black? It's just okay, he's a black guy. Because of course, why wouldn't he be a black guy? He is. The other girl's a white girl. He's a black guy. Nobody cares, and it's not part of the story in any way. It's just it's like real life.
I know. Well,
Do you-
I don't know what you're talking about. That's not real life anymore.
yeah,
man.
yeah. He should be a black woman. That's what it should be. It's crazy,
A
right?
black gay woman.
A black gay woman. That's what it should be. You know what? It's not even about color today. It's all about the feminist agenda. That's mostly what it's about, as you guys would notice. But I made a film 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, and it was a cop movie. And it's there's 4 stars in my movie. 2 of them are women, and 2 of them are black men. And I remember doing that deliberately because where I live in England, it's very trying to get into the BBC. It was very racist at the time, so I remember doing that deliberately. But that was like over 17, 18 years ago. Do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I mean, now everybody thinks that people, that the woke thing should be in everything, which doesn't make any sense. Sometimes I've got to admit, right? I'm not white, okay? I'm mixed race, but when I watch TV and I see, like a well-known actress, and then she walks into a house, and then her husband is black, I don't know. It something in my head says that's not real, and I'm not being racist or anything like that. It just doesn't feel right. Like, say it's a famous actress, and she walks in and her husband's black all of us, just black, and I'm just thinking to myself, no, that's for some reason that doesn't work for me, and I know why it doesn't work for me, because it was deliberate. That actor was put there deliberately. He was given that job because of his skin color, and that's how it works today.
Well, that's a shame, and I can understand kind of where you're coming from, but to me, that's everyday life. I mean, one of my best friends, that was his relationship in between his parents and the house, and I'm not going to say which or however or what, but they were, not the same race, and it was totally normal. Every aspect of that, and mind you, I'm an old guy.
Movies, though. I'm talking about movies.
No.
Yeah,
but that's what happened. Is they made something that was totally abnormal by pointing it out by assigning these check boxes.
Yeah.
So no, I knew where you were going. It's one of those things where it doesn't make any sense, because there's a perceived racial divide that never existed in my lifetime.
Yep. Yeah. Plus, I got to say, and this is a shout out to most of all Jeremy, Geeks and Gamers, who I've done some awesome work with over the last year.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like the term SJW. I try not to use it. I mean, we all know what it means, but I like the idea that there's normal people and there's not normal people. Like, so here I am, it's a Tuesday afternoon. I'm talking to friends. We're talking about Star Wars, pop culture, whatever it is we all do. And I'm not a white guy. Buddy's not a white guy. Ian's not a white guy. I don't want to, I'm not going to get personal here, but as far as straight white males, that's not what's going on here. Except Culture Casino, you're like a handsome straight male, right?
I'm going to identify as an alien sex machine for these purposes.
But that might be more accurate. But no, I'm a meat popsicle. That's what I am.
Oh, dude.
I mean,
Fifth Element.
Yes, I was going to say multi-pass.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't feel natural. Like I remember watching the Flash a couple of years ago when it first started, and Iris, I think she's white in the comics, and she was black in the TV show. That didn't bother me at all. It's only when I think it was season 4 when all this stuff started creeping in, and suddenly she was in charge of everything, and I was like, well, she's got no experience. Why is she in charge of everything? And it's just things like that that really kind of grates with me. A lot of people can't see it, obviously. Normies can't see it, but
it totally snuck in. Totally agree.
Yeah.
There's just there was one line that literally I was like, wait, how'd that get in there? Where it was like he was doing some dramatic speech about how it's so hard to be the Flash sometimes, and she's like, "You're not the Flash. We're the Flash." I was like, "Oh my God, where'd that come from?"
I remember that. Yeah, I remember
and that's basically the agenda that was just like put in there. It's like, actually, don't worry about it. You're not the big cool guy anymore. We're all of that together.
Yeah.
Isn't that like can that be like fortune cookies, where you get a fortune cookie, you get your fortune and you can add in bed at the end? We're all the Flash in bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's supposed to be a good thing or not.
Well, for them it is, I'm just sorry. For me, it's like, I don't know. The whole thing. The reason why it feels that way is kind of the same way when you see it's an incongruous pattern. Like when you see something that's actually incongruent and actually like random, it looks like a pattern. When it's something that's even more deliberate, it really looks like a pattern. Yeah. And we pick up on it, extremely easily. I mean, you're talking about, okay, in America, 77% of people are white. Okay, that's just the way it is. 77% of the people are white. All right, and that, what does that leave? 23% of 360 million people. Okay, that's still a pretty good variation. You know what I mean? Of all of that, we're talking like 7% is what we said. LGBTQIA, blah 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 blah. I'm not making fun of them. I don't know all of it. I'm sorry. So, and I don't. Want to beleaguer the situation, but anyway, so we are like focusing on something that is like the size of, I don't know, like your hand, and that's controlling the whole body.
But they have the power, though. I mean, ever since the Me Too movement, would you believe that J.J. Abrams' wife was in charge of the Me Too movement? Yeah. So ever since that happened, they've had more power in Hollywood, and from Hollywood, maybe I'm wrong here, it spawned out to the rest of the world. It's like a cancer, right?
Well, what I think is funny is that these people want to speak about, like, what is the biggest thing that they're talking about? What they say they want is inclusion, right? Like that's supposed to be the objective. We want to be included. Then why have you spent the most effort in individualizing every single part of yourselves?
And also, why do you spend the time knocking down male white men?
Yep.
I mean, it's not, as I keep saying, it's nothing. It's nothing to do with the color of your skin, even though that word woke is bandied around a lot. It's all to do with the feminist agenda.
It's justification. It's all to do with
that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more than just a feminist agenda. It's like, look, what was that stupid thing that came out a few weeks ago, the orc thing? I mean, I'm into gaming and stuff, and Flavor Text talking about the orc, and it was comparing it to most of what we think of as the orc is the Tolkien orc. The orc has actually come from 100 different sources. Literally, it's come from Carthage, from China, from Japan, from India, there's all different kinds that have their own ochre, orc, ochran, all these things. They're pig face or monster face humanoids that serve a demon lord. Okay? They've always been that way. Tolkien saw it. Exactly. Tolkien created it from Orcus. And that's my exact point. Is that this guy, he comes up and he says, well, look at what it says. They're evil. They serve an evil lord. This is obviously a dog whistle toward black people. Okay. Yep. That's what we would call, in psychology, a Rorschach test.
Yes. I'm like, wait. What makes you think that, mister? Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's like, why does... that's the funniest thing. When the immediate gut reaction to things like that is when people are like, oh, wait, that's racist. Because then I have to stop and go, well, why is it? What did your mind jump to? Tell me, please. I'd like to know.
Yeah, if you're going to say that black people are represented by pig-faced creatures that are tribal, that are killing people, that want to do slaughter and yada, 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 that's a you thing.
Yeah, that's on you, man. Totally.
Yeah, but they don't see it that way, do they?
Let me help.
Yeah.
I want to.
There's a lot of stupid people out there. We can't help that.
I agree.
I want to say it's neat to be doing this on a Tuesday afternoon. This is my second live show ever, but I want the people in the chat to follow and like the show and follow the people you see on screen, because we got lots of fun stuff going on Twitter. Everybody here does.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm
everybody here is really cool. I especially B-Lord. But you don't have to follow me on YouTube or anything.
No, but
Okay.
but Buddy is the butt lord as far as we know.
I don't
There's some
like
great
that.
art there, though.
I think it's Beast Lord. Let's go Beast Lord. It's
Okay,
much more my game.
Yeah, Beast Lord is good.
Do you know, guys? Do you when you're doing the comics, right? Do you know where the bubbles are gonna go, or the squares? No, you don't. So you just
No,
you draw
I
the
draw out,
pictures and then.
Well, this
Alright,
this
gotcha.
entire comic book was actually created from a manuscript that I already have. I have
Right.
a 5-book manuscript epic that's already been written, and I went to a lot of conventions, and I went to see a lot of like what they call the query agents, and then the editors and everything.
Hello.
I paid a lot of your prose is succinct. It's amazing, but you're a white dude and we can't get you to market or to auction right now. And I was like, oh, all right, well, that's fun to hear. So I tried to branch out and do something else, and I saw this whole comic book thing, and I said, I can do this. And it's been a learning experience, but I think we're getting there.
It's good. I love the art.
I could show you the process actually. I've read comics my whole life. I've got billions of them. And when we started working on this book, it was like, hey, are you a letterer or a colorist or what have you? I'm like, no. I mean, I've been making books for 2 decades. So I was like, yeah. I mean, how hard could it be? So once the pencils get approved, I'm part of the process. Buddy's in charge of that, and then I get the inks back. Then I color it. And so when you see on screen here, I take that, turn it into, because my background is, I've been painting acrylics and oils for, again, 20 plus years. When I finally have a script, I go to Adobe Illustrator and I figure out what makes it look best. And, it's not rocket science. I mean, I'll show you a good one. Nothing open right now. Yeah,
for me, to buy a comic, right, a comic book, for me, it's always the art and the story that makes a great comic book. Like the last great one I read, actually 2 last really good ones. They were comics, but they made them into books. Was Daredevil Born Again, which I really loved, and Marvels. You ever read Marvels? The art in that's fantastic, and the story is really good. Have you guys ever read them too? Those 2, sorry? No?
They're not ringing a bell. I'm not going to lie.
Marvels?
Sure, man.
You've never read Marvels? And you never read Daredevil Born Again?
Nope.
Oh.
No? Man, you're missing something good there, pal. I'm telling you right now. They should make Marvels into a movie.
I read more comics in the 90s than I do now. And then I got into I just got into novels and that kind of thing, and I read novels like crazy. Anything I've ever wanted. I mean, I've the reason why I use my name now is because I use pseudonyms for the past 25 years. I've written school papers and poetry and anthologies and all kinds of stuff under articles under different pseudonyms, and I wanted to have this one because it's kind of a culmination of my writing ability, improving and getting better and everything. And I have a getting my style, my own signature and everything. It was all like, this is a culmination of it. So I'm like, I want to use my name. And I actually lost a lot of clout because I was using a pseudonym called Dr. Wright that a lot of people liked. And I'm like, well, I changed it. And they were like, oh, why'd you change it? Did you do something wrong? And I'm like, no.
Let me show you guys something rad.
Use my name.
So Ian, to answer your question, this is one of the first main pages that we completed.
Oh, wow.
To me, this is fascinating that Buddy wrote, these 8 lines of text. He communicated to Joe, the line guy. Line artist. He's amazing. And then I colored it and then laid it out. and then here's where the wording comes in, and it's more instinctive than anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
There you go. This is what it was just the flow that felt right to me. Hang on, sorry. Let me jump back to this. So there you go. I don't think there's anything out there that's better drawn, written, or produced, like ever. I mean, again,
Well, not today. Put it that way.
Yeah,
Not today.
so what do you
I mean, it's really good. I love art like this, and I'm always a huge fan of people coming out of their frames, just going over another frame like that hand and stuff. So I'm a huge fan of that as well. Because sometimes, when I used to read comics when I was very, very young, they used to be reprints and they were black and white. So because I think at the time Marvel wasn't allowed to sell the American comics in England, so England had to reprint them with one color or two. So they were in cheap paper, and they were black and white with green in it, maybe. And so it was just squares and the Hulk and stuff like that. But getting a graphic novel and seeing the color and stuff like that. I mean, this is amazing work, guys. I mean, if I had a hat, I'd take it off to you guys, but I don't. So you've got a hat, Ben.
Where can we find you? I'm trying to pimp you in chat, and I don't have your links or Twitter info or anything.
Who, me?
Buttlord. I got you covered. Don't worry.
I was just what? Yeah, go on.
You can you sign up for the mailing list at bladenight.com. That's our production company, Blade Knight Productions.
Knight?
Yeah, here, I'll put it in the private chat.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. I just wanted to make sure that we could get people to go your way, that you have some interest.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Awesome.
Let's do it. Plus, I try to put out something at least once a day. We're basically we're a triple threat. It's Buddy Lord, it's Xevious, and it's Hosanna Art. And we're working around the clock on this new book, Sins of the Fae. So if you watch our Twitter, if you follow us, you'll see what's happening. And it's fun stuff too. It's sexy. It's cool. Yeah,
we just redesigned Nikki, the main character for this first story. She's actually not the main character. The main character is the family. I wanted to write a story, which I didn't write it for COVID, but it seems to fit like in these kind of times, the sort of harrowing times of depression and destitution. It's nice to have something that's about hope, that has humor, and boobs.
Boobs.
You tack boobs onto anything, and it gets better.
Oh,
like boobs on butter. That'd be amazing, right?
Hey, let me show you. We just did a redesign. Like I think, what was that, Thursday maybe?
Yeah.
Hang on, let me just buzz by my Twitter. Let me grab it. Oh yeah, and then we've got Joe just did the most amazing. All the daughters and Nikki getting dressed. I could probably tease that. Give me a sec. Again,
daughters. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, whatever. Here we go. This is Nikki was amazing before, but now Nikki has goggles, a wicked tattoo, a bracer, and a gun belt. And I love where this is going. And I saw some good sketches just last night. So
yeah, we've added a couple features from here because she has a silver leaf that is she was in the coven of the Holy Oak, and so the silver leaf is sort of the pendant that represents she was in that coven, and we made it a choker. And I liked the idea. I found out like the Vikings and witches they carried earth and vials of dirt and that kind of thing from their homeland to sort of protect them. So there was an idea already in the story that the witches could kind of like fire magic through weapons. So I figured, what would be kind of cool? She has a modified revolver that actually she can load these sort of thick glass vials that act like spells that she can fire.
Yep.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Just seen.
Okay.
That's really good, man.
But and yet, because
she's got Han Solo's gun.
What we do though, what we do is so collaborative that the concept behind this was partly from my cat who's sitting beside me, meets Han Solo, meets Tank Girl,
I love Tank Girl.
and
As you
so
know.
on and so on. So that's how we do. Sorry, you can't see my screen, have you? Hang on.
You guys don't know the graphic novel Marvels by Alex Ross, no?
I am not a comic person.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. I'm talking. Yeah, I know you're not. V.
Oh, okay. Well, sorry. I was trying to
That's
feel
all right.
included.
V Lord, you don't know the graphic novel Marvels?
Nope.
I mean, I know what you're talking about. I just haven't seen it. Didn't go through it. Don't have it.
You don't. You guys should. You should. The art's really terrific in it, and you know, you should. It's. You know what it's about, don't you, guys? No.
No.
It's basically about the history of the Marvel superheroes, but told. The story is told by a photographer, and how he's insignificant in the world, and he witnesses everything that happens in the history of Marvel, the Marvel comics. So it starts off with the in World War One or World War Two, and the first hero that Marvel ever created was the Human Torch. Everybody thinks that it was Hulk or Spider, but it wasn't. It was a character called the Human Torch, and then it just goes on from there.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
you see
it's
this
teased.
guy's
That Human
photographer.
Torch is teased in Iron Man 2.
Yeah,
I believe it
so
is.
but it's really good. The art is drawn really realistically, and it goes through that he witnesses everything. He witnesses the death of Gwen Stacy. He witnesses other things. He witnesses the marriage between Reed Richards and Sue Storm, you know, and stuff like that. He takes photographs and all that. So it's from the point of view of someone that's in the world of all these fantastic people that are going around and the destruction they cause, but nobody ever talks about the destruction they cause. So they're the brunt of it, if you know what I mean. So it's from that point of view. It isn't from the hero's point of view. It's from the ordinary person's point of view. And I thought that was really clever. I thought it was really, really clever.
Well, it's the
it's a really
everyman.
good- Yeah.
Alex
So-
Ross is one of my favorite artists, so I'll have to look it up because some of that rings familiar, but I don't have the books. So
Right.
Yeah,
It's really
same here.
good.
Okay, so which of you guys don't want to know the story of the girl you see on your screen?
I don't.
don't.
Ruin this book for me.
Read it.
See, look,
I'm-
she's got Tank Girl's glasses. She's
Yeah.
got one eye covered with her hair, which Tank Girl always does have her one eye covered with her hair. And she's got boobs like Tank Girl. I mean, come on.
Oh man,
What is not to like?
And
Maybe I'm coming across as being really sexist here, but that's not my intention.
and I designed her. She's subconsciously supposed to be Han Solo. You're not aware of it.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yep. So
She definitely has that badassery.
Yeah, she does.
total badass.
I got kind of a witchy Laura Croft.
Well,
Lara
that's
Croft.
okay. Yeah, Lara Croft. Like she was a little bit cartoony. She had like the crop top, and her boobs were. I don't know. Is there such too big? Maybe a bit.
No, they're the right size. But the thing is, though, for comics, right? You know, you've got to exaggerate the human anatomy, haven't you? For especially for superhero comics, and it's right. It's right. I mean, you know, people want to inspire to be heroes, right? And if you have an overweight hero, that doesn't work because you don't want to inspire to be overweight. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you don't want to, do you? I mean, you know. But you know, when you see like Superman and Batman, they're all, you know, they're all ripped, aren't they? They're all ripped. They have to be fit to take on crime, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what this girl does, but I'm pretty sure that she's ripped to take on whatever is coming. So
Yeah,
know?
but do you have to be as ripped as Abby from Last of Us Part 2?
Oh God, no.
Uh,
That I can speak. I live in Olympia. That I'm the hotbed of a lot of LGBT, etc., and there's no way someone in the apocalypse can possibly be using that. Well, I don't know. It hasn't been confirmed whether she is a woman or a transgender woman, right?
Please,
But
there's a woman.
if she's transgender, I would have issues because there's no way, medically speaking, you could possibly be that full of testosterone after that long. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't even want to.
She would be way more feminine by that point.
Well, if you're a trans, I mean, it was just is a trans male, right?
We don't really know. That's
I don't know.
yeah. It depends on the combination of which leaks you're paying attention to.
Yeah.
You know.
Some leaks say that the character is a trans male. Others say that it's just a very butch female. And so I just get it conflicted when I'm looking at it. Because either way, it just doesn't seem very physically believable.
I don't even care if it's believable. It's just not interesting.
No, it's fucking boring. So, forgive me.
It's so passe. Like, maybe like 20 years ago, that would have been something new. But that's been done so much. We get it. Orange Man bad, smash the patriarchy, Me Too, whatever. We get it.
You know what it really looks like? And it reminds me of in art class, this is as far as I ever went. It's just blatant middle school art class. They gave you a block of modeling clay, like a small one that you can unwrap from plastic. And they were like, okay, make this into something. It's literally like a student in the last second just kind of carved the head and arms and legs onto the block. And then it was like, hey, check it out. It's a girl. There's no definition. There's nothing that makes this an actual personality. And you want to look at a character and see a character. You don't want to look at a placeholder,
Well,
yeah, I mean, that was the whole idea behind Nikki, like, X was saying a redesign. I literally just reached out to him and said, hey, is this boring?
Well, here's the thing. We as human beings recognize traits. So because of that, we are seeing a world filled without any traits. And we as human beings like a particular aesthetic, hence the golden ratio, et cetera, et cetera. And when you're not presented with anything that has aesthetic value, you are more likely to reject it, which bothers people because it's built into our nature. What are you going to do?
I mean, good-looking people always sell, whether it be drawn on a comic book or on a film. And I know it sounds a bit crass, and maybe we should be representing ordinary-looking people, but that doesn't sell. If I cast someone that was just ordinary to play Rebecca, people wouldn't be so attracted to it. Do you know what I mean? Because Katie's really good looking, so that was one of my selling points.
That's the only thing X told me. He said it's a hot chick.
Yeah.
Well, this goes back to something think of it as far as back as Odysseus, Great Times Odyssey. People don't want to just sit around a fire and hear the story of Joe Schmo who lives across the street. They want to hear the story of a super awesome, superhuman, amazing person who goes off and does these things. They don't want to just imagine some 40-something person doing this. It's no. There's a reason why heroic adventures and superhero stories and all this kind of stuff have very specific looks to them. It's not because they're trying to shame different kind of body types or whatever. They're representing a very specific aesthetic that everybody is attracted to. The louder you deny it, the more and more I know you want it. That's what I hear. If some guys out there is it's wrong to objectify women, they're secretly objectifying them and telling themselves, oh, it's bad for me to do this, so I should tell other people it's bad. And it's I don't know. It's so frustrating. But
why is it all right for women to basically drool over Oliver Queen saying Arrow when he's doing that thing, when he's going up on that thing, right? And we can't. We can't drool over Felicity or I don't know, anyone that's in the Arrow universe.
That is possibly the best example of male objectification versus the female stuff. You know what? It's completely fine to objectify both ways. And oh my God, that is another great example of why it's impossible for me to believe some of these little namby-pamby superheroes can actually flip people over their shoulders when you actually have an actor who is physically that fit that he can actually do the upward, salmon rail or whatever it's called.
Salmon ladder.
Himself.
So Finn,
and it's just
I don't know.
It's
Have I told you guys? So the director of Arrow season 1 and 2,
Mhm.
I got him his job with CW, and
Wow.
he's good friends with Stephen Amell. And they
Mhm.
put that thing together where he does that rail, and they're probably about a foot apart, maybe
Mhm.
12, 14 inches, where he takes the bar and then jumps up it. Is that called a salmon rail? I don't know.
Yeah, it's called the salmon
He's
ladder.
He's the nicest
That's it,
fucking
yeah.
guy ever. And by the way, he's way better looking than me. Way fair. That's life. Probably better looking than all of us put together.
But why is it all right for women to look at men like that and go for, and it's not all right for us to look at Gal Gadot
Well,
say and
it's
go
the double
for?
standard. Basically, it's okay if everybody but white men do anything. That's that's the bottom line at the end of the day.
I mean, you want to
So-
be completely honest, like even more real.
Mm.
It's okay if they want that guy to look at them.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
it's very, very silly.
It's
And,
it's
yeah.
all about attention.
Yeah,
Hey,
I guess.
that's why I'm not allowed to go to the bar anymore, guys.
Oh no. Well, at
What?
least unless you're wearing red high heels, and then you're allowed to.
Dude,
don't know,
it's
I
cheaper
might-
to buy the liquor and stay home anyway.
There you go. Yeah.
Liquor and whores. There you go.
Liquor.
Yeah, good.
Hookers and blow, man. We don't need anything else. you know?
Somebody's dog agrees with me.
My neighbor.
it really makes me smile when you guys call alcohol liquor. I
Oh.
find that really odd to me.
Oh, instead of liqueur or something.
No.
liquor, alcohol.
Oh, liquor. I hardly know her.
Yeah. We do it for the jokes, Ian. We do it for the jokes.
I do it for the whiskey.
We say booze. You say booze in the UK? I
Yeah,
forget.
we say booze, or sometimes we say.
Is this
booze,
like the
yeah.
Coke thing where it's like Coke, pop, soda, soft drink, depending on where
Yeah,
you are?
we say fizzy drink. You guys say pop, don't you? Or
Or
soft-
soda
Well, it depends.
or
If you're
Coke,
East Coast or West Coast, it changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a demographic thing. Like in the Middle East, it's pop, Southeast soda, and what is it in the West Coast now? I don't know. They change every couple of years.
I remember I was shooting something
Well-
in Canada, and it was at the height of summer, and they brought
It'd be
out
pop.
they brought out, I call them lollies, and they started laughing at me. It's
Candy?
basically no, it was ice lollies. It was I don't know what you guys
Oh, a
call it.
popsicle.
Popsicles. That's it.
Yeah, popsicles.
Oh my
They were giving out
God! you call them
popsicles.
lollies.
And I said, "Can I have a lolly?" And they all laughed at me because we call them lollies over
Aw.
here. So
Well, if you go to the
Cute.
Weibo, if you go to the Weibo community of Japan and you say you want a lolly, they're gonna look at you funny.
oh, right, what does that mean over there? What does it
Lolita.
mean? Oh,
Look, yeah.
You guys, you want to know something weird? Like I live in, I've got a house in California and a house in Western Canada, and we all talk exactly the same.
Oh yeah.
mm.
As far as I'm concerned, everybody else just talks weird.
Yeah.
I think you need to sell both and move to Ohio. No, don't go to Ohio.
Break-
That's horrible. Go to like Texas.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
I don't know. Columbus area of Ohio is amazing. I didn't really appreciate South Texas very much, or the Central Florida or South Central Florida. That's nice. You can get some nice horse property there near Ocala.
What am I? South Texas, like Port A?
El Paso. Well, I guess Amarillo is technically central. Yeah,
It's
but
on the west side.
yeah, Central West. Yeah, but it's yeah. I mean, I've had experience in lots of places and in California more often than not, but it's weird. The West Coast folks from all the way up the coast, and Xevious is right. We all speak very similar with about the same accent.
Pretty much.
And once you cross from the Midwest, like Ohio, you're talking a different language entirely. So, and they drop letters and consonants like crazy.
So what are you guys gonna just put a wall around Oregon and call it a day?
It would work.
Yeah.
Aw,
my cousin lives in Oregon.
it's too
That's
late. The
beautiful.
hipsters bled
Beginning with the
out.
share. It was all right. It's quite sweet,
I mean,
sweet little.
When
place.
did Oregon move from strange people that like hunt for spices in the woods and make voodoo donuts to Antifa?
Don't know.
Nor do I.
What's Antifa?
You don't know what Antifa is?
It sounds like a sports thing.
Oh boy.
No, it is not a sports thing.
Oh, you're being smart.
Antifa,
Yeah, you're kidding, right?
She's joking.
Yes, I
No,
know.
wait. What does it stand for? I probably know.
anti-fascist.
Mhm.
Oh, yes. No, I did not know that it was short for that, but I know what anti-fascist is. Sorry.
Yeah, they're the pretenders now. They used to be the soy coffee guys, but they put on bandanas and they beat individuals and groups because they can't
It's
do it one
it's
on
the
one.
new Zoomer generation college kids who are,
Gross.
upper middle class, dressing in wannabe Black Panther gear, who can't even light a match to burn the flag that they want to in the middle of the street.
Oh my God, that's so sad.
I have to look up Google to learn
Yeah.
how to burn a match.
So can I ask a question? So Finn, so you're okay. So you live where you live.
Mhm.
Okay, so segue. The movie Garden State, is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Did you go there?
Oh, what do you mean Garden State? Like, the school it was at?
Yeah. Is that
Uh,
is there a culture around that? Is that a real thing?
You
I
talking about
never saw
Evergreen
the
University?
Was that the movie about the
Right.
guy that was a writer?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what the movie is about. I couldn't tell you. Sorry.
Okay.
But Evergreen's for real.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah. Well, I went
basically,
to Evergreen.
Yeah, it's basically a movie about where the guy wants to be a writer, and he thinks the greatest part of his life is going to be going outside of the experiences he's already had, and then he realizes that the experience he's already had are the best experience, are that is the life. The life he chooses to live is the good life, and so
Oh
he
my
finally, it's one of those contexts.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I don't know how it's presented, but I used to go to Evergreen. I graduated from there before it got woke too much.
Yeah. So
There was a transitional period between hippie and woke.
yeah, because they're different things totally. Like woke is
Oh
not.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I
Yeah.
have to definitely push that. I'm like Evergreen. It's so funny. Evergreen used to, when I was there, had a very different reputation. Like I said, I wanted to go there, and my mom's response was, "Oh, you want to go to that Mickey Mouse college? Go to someplace that has better reputation." Because around here, everybody thought it was just hippies who smoke weed and just lay around all day. And peace, love, and yes, there is a beach that was the unofficial naked beach. But then it somehow transitioned into the shouting in a single teacher's face and flipping cars and all because of pronouns wrong. And I'm just like, I was not there for that. I left way before that.
Yeah. Lucky you. And I went to
Yes.
my
Well, the
college.
sad thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah. No. The sad thing about that is that I had a hint of it. There was a class that I ended up taking that I signed up for thinking it was going to be on the history of colonialism. Like the expansion of Europe. From this period of time to that period of time, because that sounded interesting to me. But at Evergreen, being Evergreen, it ended up being led by two professors, and the whole quarter it was like trying to push white guilt, and at that point in time, I was there with my best friend, and we were both looking at each other and rolling our eyes. And every time we wrote an opinion piece, our professors would say it was wrong, and I was like, wait, our opinions are wrong? Are you serious? You can't say that. But that was the only class I ever encountered while I was there that was like that. So I just thought it was just a fluke, Little did I know.
Yep. That's 100% what I did too. Liberal arts degree, 4 years, and I had my humanities teachers were all lesbians, no exception, not one guy, and it was all about the male gaze and all the women. So I learned my art history, Picasso or Matisse or Monet or whoever. Everybody they were assholes. These guys did have 14-year-old girls living with them, and they cheated on them with their wives. 300 years ago. That's the way it was. But I was there for art history, not for politics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so true. I know. Well,
Little did
they,
you
they
know.
literally find platforms everywhere. That's the problem. They'll take it everywhere.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I
Like
think
Gillette is advertising now.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of these, a lot of people grew up and they realized that the fathers that they hated or the people that they hated they're like, well, they were indoctrinated, or they thought they were indoctrinated by like the latchkey generation. We were taught by the TV, by entertainment. I mean, that was the whole point, is that our generation, both parents had to work, and we were left a lot of times on our own or with our siblings or whatever. And so we were brought up by entertainment, and we remember it. And we have I think that one of the closest ties to that entertainment. Our generation is very, I mean, you ask, any of our generation about, animated series, the animated series of DC, or, X-Men, or, any of the like cartoons that came, we all remember them. Right. I mean, it's like, that is almost like a call. Do you remember that? Yeah, Transform. Oh yeah, man, G1. You can talk for hours, and that's not really, the most of the other generations don't really have like that close of a tie. They're not, they like them. They're like, and they shout the phrases and everything, but they're not as connected as we are, I don't think. And I don't know, they learned that, and then they took it and said, well, we can flip that to our, to what we want to teach. Right. I mean, I remember like listening to Joe Rogan, and he was talking about, he's like 2014 was the big culmination, which is where like a bunch of things came to head, which was that normally they did this whole like Paul Ekman, he's a big psychologist. He was the one that created the FACS, the facial recognition test, where you can look at somebody's face and tell what they're thinking in, with a high level of empathic accuracy. And Paul Ekman had this whole test where he went to like Papua New Guinea or someplace where there was Aboriginals, and they studied them for, longitudinal study for over 10 years. And they wanted to understand how men and women, dealt with arguments. And they said, okay, well, men in this Aboriginal primal society deal with arguments in a direct fashion. They either go yell at somebody or they fight, right? The women, even in this primitive society, instead of talking to the person they had a competition with, they would ruin their social relationships. They would poison their social relationships and leave them with no one to go to. They basically just crush them emotionally. That's how they did this. Okay, well, the reason why we say that is because, okay, 2014, you have all of a sudden a large influx of people that think, oh, we want to be together, we want to be inclusive. To me, the SJW culture is basically a cyber collective super intelligence that is a fascist group that doesn't even know it. And they all fight the same way. They've cut their teeth on all these stupid social media saying, you don't like what I like, screw you, you should die. And then you have teachers that hold in that opinion and give these razor-edged wielding, weirdos something to fight for, because teachers have the authoritarian, or are the authoritarians in this case, and they say, oh, well, you know what you should fight for? It'd be cool, diversity. And then all these kids go out there with basically just the weapons and the arsenal to like take people apart socially. And they just invade spaces like a swarm of locusts and destroy the crops and farms that everybody else has built. That's it.
Uh-oh. It cut out.
Yeah, rent off.
Oh. Yeah.
So
Very nice. Sorry about that. My water kettle was bubbling earlier.
You still use a kettle? I've been watching this this hashtag on Twitter.
No.
People are making tea with microwave these days. You seen that?
I make tea with a microwave.
With what? I'm sorry, everybody keeps breaking up. It might just be my end.
The microwave is the best way to make tea, probably.
Well, how?
Or fastest, I guess.
Okay. If
If
Ian were here right now, he'd be flipping his lid, because you cannot properly steep your tea leaves if you're microwaving everything.
Can you boil the water
true.
first and then do the tea bag? Will that not steep properly?
Well, no. But okay. So part of the reason why you use a kettle is to get it to the proper temperature. So you can boil water easily in many different ways. But
Yeah.
there's a reason to do it the way it's been done. There's a reason that teapots are shaped the way they're shaped. They're the reason why they have they whistle when they're ready. I mean, there's a whole reason why this is done. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I believe you.
Yeah,
I
'cause you
mean,
could
I'll
technically
try
hear
it
it
sometime.
boiling before it whistles.
There's just
Yeah.
diminishing returns, you know. I just want to drink the tea and go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm lazy and I use a coffee pot. You know, I haven't even used. I have the stupid Keurig thing, and I've used that thing twice, and it's junk. So, I don't want single shot coffee. I want a whole pot because I usually drink a couple or 3 a day. So,
Yeah. So I quit coffee. I quit caffeine.
Oh,
Totally.
did I lose y'all? Sorry, I'm here.
you quit coffee?
You still there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you. I don't know. Can you
Or
guys hear
am
it?
I the only one?
We
No, you're
can
good.
hear
Oh dear
you.
Lord, I might be the only one. No.
No.
No, you're good.
Okay. Whew. Okay.
You know, guys, in lockdown, I think we're in a time where we don't have to apologize for our internet. I mean, I think it's amazing, fantastic that we actually have our internet actually works, isn't it?
I think it's great that
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
to be able to have this interactivity is magical to me. It's the Houdini state, right? So
I think everybody would
Yeah.
be playing board games.
yeah.
No,
Well, actually, we did that on a Zoom meeting with my family, so that does happen. So
that's awesome. Yeah, I'm streaming Disney Plus, watching bad movies, watching bad Star Wars, and YouTubing. So things could be worse. And hey,
Yeah.
sorry for the. I don't want to sound too slick for a segue, but CC, what's going on with numbers? Do you? I mean, I don't want to throw that at you.
Ooh, okay. Well, actually, I threw some of that into the chat in the Twitter chat we have going, but okay. So there are now 2 major variants, L and S, and the latest version of this thing that we're dealing with is harder to deal with. It's harder on humans than the prior version. So it's starting to dominate in testing and everything. So that's problematic. We also know for a fact that we're more likely to get towards herd immunity than we are to get a vaccine in time to combat herd immunity. So, which means 70% of the populace will have had this thing, at least here in the States. And I know those numbers will extrapolate out worldwide. Because we're opening businesses up, you're going to see spikes in varying areas depending upon the segments that are affected. At this point, I imagine the plan is, from a governmental standpoint, is to not overwhelm the healthcare systems. And that's why you're going to see phases of people returning to work, because we're going to expect, like some states have like 4% of their population or 5% of their population that have had this. And then there are states like New York where it's a much higher number.
Yeah.
So as we start to,
It's just terrifying.
yeah, and it's not. The thing is, it's not going to get it.
I get that. Well, I know it's not gonna get better, obviously, but the idea that it's like, well, we gotta push ahead, and yeah, it'll probably get worse in some places is kind of a scary thought too, because there obviously is no long term. I mean, there's a fix, but it's long term, and since there's already a variant, and there's still no proof that you can't get it again. I mean, it just seems like a more of a daunting thing than any to like start letting people go out there again and risk getting worse. You know what I mean?
But what I'm going to say is not going to make you feel better. There are hundreds of variants now.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just 2. There's just 2 major ones that we see in testing. So we're going to get to a point where it's either herd immunity or vaccine, but that might be 9 months to 12 months away, and it might be less than that. I mean, there are some. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, keep going, please.
No, it's just. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. I read an article today that was talking about that 50-year-olds and up sometimes the vaccine isn't as useful on them either. There's something to do with that. Do you know anything about the age and vaccines, and like how effective they are?
All right, so let's do this. Let's talk about the serum level of antibodies that you have to be vaccinated. I'm going to say this: we don't know. We don't actually know this. The number of antibodies that you need to have in order to be okay from this. There also seems to be a racial divide, in addition to a difference in ages. And of course, we've been talking about this for weeks, but the science is finally making it to the public that blood types actually have something to do with it as well. So there's no real good way for me to answer that question. You know what I'm saying? Based on everything my brother has been conveying to me over the last little bit.
No, I appreciate it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I always you know so much more, and I feel like an idiot when I ask questions in general, but thanks for putting up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You mentioned your brother. I've never asked you what.
Yeah.
And to stay, as
Yeah,
private.
no, it's fine. Yeah, he's a developmental biologist. He's a genetic engineer. So, yeah, his goal is to create testing procedures and identify remedies for varying sorts of things like this. So, he's one of many scientists that participated in the testing task force for the White House, et cetera, et cetera. So he's got some expertise. He's been published many times. So, in fact, his scholarly work is well thought of. So, but honestly, he's coming across this thing every day. Is one of the reasons why I have access to the tools that I do early, even though they're all available to the public. You just have to go out and get them.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. It is Tuesday evening. Oh, I guess no.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm east of half of you guys. What's on the? Oh, hang on a second. We lost. What's
Oh,
going
we
on?
lost AFK Bard. Yeah, I think she's having trouble. And there we are. We're back.
We got her back.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, my phone is dying, so I gotta go actually. But I just didn't
Okay.
want you to think that I got raged quit or anything.
Yeah, right.
Well, it wasn't
But
that nice
yeah,
of you.
keep going. You guys are awesome, and thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you for joining us. I think we're gonna call it a day. I want to say I appreciate everybody who popped in, and I want you guys to stick around for a bit. We can wrap this up.
Sure. Sounds great.
And Bart, go take care of your phone and your dog, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks.
Okay, guys.
Okay, bye.
Have an awesome day.